Hi, this is Daniel Ivy. This is the RPG Talk Show, and with me, this is.
John Welker, Vice President of RPG Research. We are doing our talk show. We finally got it back in the queue. We are a 501c3 nonprofit organization. We research the effects of all role playing games in all formats for their educational, therapeutic, entertainment, and professional development. And those are the wonderful things that we do.
Yeah.
We have a lot to talk about because we have not been here for a while.
Yeah.
And we would like to get started there. Do check out that rpgresearch.com/donate. We do need to bring up our funds so we can keep this radio show going on a regular basis, as well as our community programs such as our museum and community center and our after school programs that we do. We have other things that we plan on bringing up in the future, and we'll talk about that just as soon as we get started with our first segment, which is Just Talking.
Yeah.
So, how are you doing now?
I'm doing pretty well today. What do we have on the docket in terms of talking?
Well, today we're going to be talking about what we've just been recently dealing with,
Yeah.
which was a local convention and our upcoming convention that we're going to do ourselves.
Right.
In fact, let's start with the convention that we're going to start.
Okay.
Well, we're not going to start it because this is like the 17th or 18th year of it.
Yeah.
Tokenmoot.org is where we run a mini convention. And by mini, sometimes it's been big enough that we had to go and get into a hotel. Other times it's been hosted at just a home or at the community center.
Yeah.
And we've had as low as less than 30 people.
Yeah.
And we've had several hundred. But some of the people that are coming to Token Moot are from other countries. Because Token Moot is an official, or the Token Society here in Spokane, Washington, is an official smell of the UK Token Society.
Yeah.
And we have guests from all over the world. Some people are talented singers who can sing in Elvish. Other people are historians and writers and things like that. But one of the things that we do that's a little different is we play role-playing games.
Yeah.
Now, we will run how many games? How many modules would you say we run at each convention?
I want to say generally we have a theme that we go with, and a lot of times we'll have, for example, an adventure that we have set up, but we'll have it run through different systems.
Yeah. So we have one module, one story that we're going to be telling. But one table might be running it in MERPs.
Yeah.
One will be doing it in the One Ring role-playing game.
Mm-hmm.
Others will be doing it in the Lord of the Rings, which is the new 5th edition. I'll be showing that off during our unboxing.
Yeah.
Our 5th edition Lord of the One Ring. So the One Ring translated directly into 5th edition with the exact same art, exact same premises, is just a different way of playing the same game. So we'll have everybody there playing completely different game systems, but the same story. And it's a really interesting experiment to see what happens and how people approach things differently with different systems. Our second weekend of July is going to be our next Token Moot.
Okay.
And because this is also the 50th anniversary of Dungeons and Dragons, we're going to do one module will be run by Hawk himself.
Yeah.
He hasn't run a module for Token Moot for a while. He's usually just running the moot. I'm going to run the moot. He's going to run D&D Advanced Dungeons & Dragons First Edition.
Ooh.
And Kip will be running Token 5th Edition. Are you planning on going, or?
Well, my schedule's been so busy that I haven't been able to really commit to anything other than what few things that I have already committed to.
Right.
But I'm working on trying to open that up a bit.
And donations will help us get closer to that type of goal. We do broadcast these games, and we do broadcast Token Moot, so you can actually join us online and enjoy the token scholarship
Yeah.
and the gaming that we do, and any other special things. We've done LARP before, which was pretty crazy, trying to fight giants um, in the battlefield with foam weapons.
I believe we also have some pretty interesting discussions at each moot. Normally centered around the theme of the moot and some of the lore that's happening in Tolkien, the Lord of the Rings.
Yes.
And not just the Lord of the Rings, but the entire world.
Well, they'll do
history.
things like reading Tolkien letters.
Yeah.
They will talk about things other than the Lord of the Rings that Tolkien wrote, like Father Christmas and other, Beowulf. He translated Beowulf into a popular English version.
Okay.
Because of course Beowulf was originally written in Norwegian.
I thought it was originally written in Old English.
Well, actually, see, the odd part is a lot of the stories were written. It's a Norwegian saga, and it was written in Iceland.
Well, I mean, that would explain all the cold and mud.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, yeah. We can go into a lot of that stuff there. But here's another thing that's interesting is that beyond doing Token Moot, we want to get back into conventions.
Yeah.
We used to do conventions all the time. We would do our panels, we would run our games and show off our bus and trailer. Well, actually, we have 2 trailers now and a bus. That's our RPG fleet. You can find that all information at rpgresearch.com. And we want to go back to things like the convention that had this weekend, which is Lilac City Comic Con. I'm going to bring up more of that in just a second.
Weren't you there this last time?
I was there just for Saturday because I had to do Spark Central, which is the first and third weekend of the month. We do Spark Central where we run games for at-risk youth and adults.
Yeah.
Anybody who wants to go to their community center and that is in not Hilliard. What is that area called?
I'm bad with areas.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's over by the river. Most of you don't have to worry about where it is. You can just go to sparkcentral.com and you'll find out that information as well.
And we've been working with Spark Central for a while.
This is our 7th year, I think.
Yeah, we've been working pretty well, I believe, with the community there.
Yeah, the only time we stopped working was during COVID. Or did we even start before COVID? Not quite sure. We've been around for a long time, actually. Yeah. RPG research is one of the best hidden secrets out there. People who are living in Spokane, where we're headquartered, tend to not realize we're here.
Yeah.
A partnership with the Alexandria Library might help get in an inroad for cons. That's a good idea, and we'd love to see more information about that. We're definitely going to start going back to Lilac City Comic Con, Karanuka Con, which is an anime convention. There is a fan convention that is done through the Coeur d'Alene Library every year.
Okay.
We definitely want to get to them. So let's talk a little bit about Lilac City Comic Con and what I did yesterday.
Yeah.
Funny story. I went in there. I'm handicapped. I walk with a cane. I have my handicap placard and anything. But in Spokane, even though that placard allows me to park at any metered parking space for free, you have to find one.
Yeah. Yeah.
And trust me, during the convention, there is no parking on the streets for 3 miles. Kind of defeats the, I wouldn't say purpose of having a handicap placard, but it sure makes it harder for me to get there. So I had to park in the convention parking space, which is a measly $20 per day. And if you leave, you pay another $20.
Yeah.
So I took the parking space. We went in there, got my tickets, and I thought, man, I'm paying a little too much. And I asked about it, and he says, no, that what you just quoted is the child rate. Darn. So I go in there and I'm walking around through the convention, talking to everybody, hawking RPG research, handing out what little flyers I have left and my business cards. And then somebody had those little flags that you taped to your lanyard.
Yeah.
Can you pull out my lanyard?
Sure.
And I was saying, oh, wait a minute. These go on the badges. I don't have a badge. Oh, well, you need to go to the Welcome Center, the information stand, and get your badge. I said, okay, I'll do that. I go over there and says, hey, I don't have a badge, but I do have my receipts. They took my receipts, gave them back to me, and gave me VIP badges. I did not pay enough to justify a VIP badge. I think between the two tickets, we almost spent enough to buy a single VIP badge, but they gave one to me and my son. Cool. They gave us these bags. Now, he's showing you one bag. There's two bags there, the yellow and the green. So my son, I got both of these. My son's going to keep both of them. And we got all kinds of cool loot on the inside. We'll talk about the loot and stuff when we're doing unboxing later. I had a blast just talking to people. Didn't spend a lot of money. I mean, other than the tickets to get in and the parking. I spent almost as much for parking as I did for the tickets for two of us. Met a lot of people. I actually had one person wanted to get my photograph because apparently I was his first dungeon master.
Oh, cool.
Yeah. He went to Uncle's Games, and I was doing the drop-in games there, and it was the very first time he ever played Dungeons and Dragons, and now he's a forever DM. So he wanted my picture. That was cool. I am semi-famous. If you Google me if you just Google me, you'll find out that I am the third most famous John Wilker in the world. Not football players, ballet dancers, and an actor from Breaking Bad somehow are more famous than I am. I don't understand.
Yeah.
But, so I got some really good contacts. There's a local themed bar that wants to do some stuff with us.
Nice.
There is a locally owned costume store. It's usually open just for Halloween.
Mm-hmm.
And they're talking about possibly lending us costumes for our Call of Cthulhu live play broadcast that we're eventually going to do.
Yeah.
This is going to be the third year we've tried to get this off the ground.
Yeah.
We are definitely going to do that. Also, there's a local inventor of role-playing game. He invented his own children's role-playing game for 6 years old and up. Mm-hmm. And he wants to work with us. We'll try to get him in here for an interview and do a play test of his role-playing game on our Wednesday shows that will...
When we can get it up. Mm-hmm.
When we get it up.
Yeah.
Right now, our schedule for other shows are TBA, but we will be doing this talk show every Monday, 6 p.m. Pacific time. We need to probably move on a little bit quicker. Let's talk about other things in the news.
Yeah.
Kickstarter.
Mm-hmm.
We have been fans and friends of Dead Gentleman and Zoe Productions.
And Zombie Orpheus?
I can't say that word.
Orpheus.
Orpheus. Yes. Zombie Orpheus. I always say something else that's either sounds like a drug or something worse.
Yep, Zoe.
And so Zoe is wonderful. They did a series called Darkness Rising. There was Darkness Hands of Fate.
Yeah.
And there's a third Darkness, but now there's coming out with a fourth one, and I'm going to let their video for the Kickstarter talk for itself. But we definitely recommend that everybody get in on this Kickstarter.
Yeah.
Help make it happen. We need the fourth movie, and it is going to. Yeah, we also, to get that fourth one, we also use Darkness Rising as one of our training tools.
Yeah, there's a lot in there.
But if we can go ahead and get that video rolling, let them do the talking for themselves.
Yeah.
Years ago, we fought the vile necromancer Mort Kemnon in what has become a cult classic, The Gamer's Darkness Rising.
Well, to be fair, we didn't fight him, our characters did.
The Gamer's Darkness Rising.
Well, to be fair, we didn't fight him.
But he was not the greatest challenge they would face, far from it.
In the Gamer's 3 Hands of Fate, our characters' players, the real people who roll the dice, were pulled into the game by their nemesis.
You know his name. Say it with me now.
The Shadow.
You know his
The
name.
Shadow?
Say it with me now.
The Shadow.
You know his
The
name.
Shadow?
Say it with me now.
The Shadow.
The Shadow?
The Shadow.
And now, to commemorate the 20th anniversary of the filming of Darkness Rising,
And the 50th anniversary of Dungeons & Dragons itself.
we're bringing the film saga to its conclusion in The Gamer's Darkness Falls. Darkness Falls. For over a decade, the gamers have been trapped inside the fantasy world of the game. Every gamer's dream, more like a nightmare.
How have they survived? Will they ever get home? And how will they ever defeat this, you know?
Indeed they do. And the answers they seek, as well as my nefarious plans, will be revealed in Darkness Falls.
Did you come all the way out here for just that one line?
did, yes.
You know how Kickstarter works. We have 30 days to reach our goal or this movie never gets made? What? Well, it's more than we've ever asked for before, and we know that. But that's the only way to get this story told right. And you guys have never let us down. With your help, we can get this final piece done right.
So, what happens in Gamers 4? No spoilers.
We find out what the gamers have been up to over these years. How they adapted, how their group has expanded.
How vague.
You said no spoilers.
Minor spoilers? Like a light smattering of spoilers?
The Shadow disrupts their lives and forces them to undertake one final campaign.
You mean that the players themselves are going on a life or death quest as actual adventurers?
That's right, yes.
Do they have powers or class levels?
They do not.
What do they have?
Player knowledge.
We're bringing so many people back. The cast is back. The writer-director, our director of photography, Chris Mascio, our fight choreographer, Kevin Inoue. The band is getting back together with 20 years of experience. Now we finally know what the hell we're doing. Well, the rest of them do, finally.
It's not just a reunion, you guys. We are bringing in so many new folks, so many new faces, some of which you might even recognize.
Hello.
And so many secrets that we have to keep under wraps for now. But take my word, minds will be blown.
Oh my God, you guys. Oh my God.
It's gonna be Eric.
Epic, honey. It's gonna be epic.
No, it says Eric.
The Kickstarter runs now through June 29th, but, and we cannot stress this enough, this is a once-in-a-lifetime campaign. If we do not reach our funding goal, the story never gets told.
So spread the word far and wide. The Gamers Darkness Falls is kickstarting now.
And whatever happens in this campaign or beyond, we would not be here talking to you today if not for the unflagging support of fans over the last 20 plus years.
So from all of us to all of you, thank you.
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 Now say the line.
I don't want to say the line.
Say the line!
Chibi chibi.
Thank you.
Thank you. I'm in this too.
30 days, folks. We can do this.
Onward to Waffles! Waffles Ho!
It's better than waffles.
It's gonna be Eric.
Well, that was Darkness Falling?
No, Darkness Falls.
Yeah. That was.
They have $173,951 as of right this moment, pledged of the $500,000 goal. So they're about 33%, give or take.
Yeah.
And they really need to make that goal in the next 26 days. There are some stretch goals, but just getting the movie is what I'm hoping for. Anything else is glory. We onward to glory
And waffles.
and waffles.
Yes.
Please donate to them. Please help us get this going. I've already made my donations. Hawk's already made his donations, and if we don't get it, I will cry.
He's an ugly crier. Very, 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 very ugly crier.
Anyways.
Yes. we try to support Zombie Orifice as much as we can because they've helped us.
Oh, they've tremendously helped
Yeah.
us. It is a mutual, beneficial relationship. Though I think we've gotten more out of it than they have.
Yeah.
So, other news, at least especially in the Washington area, back in March, well, the end of February 23rd through March 8th, the Washington State Library presented a tabletop role-playing games for all.
Yeah.
That's washstatelib.libraryguides.com. And it was basically a grant for $67,000. Nearly $70,000. And I applied for the grant for us, of course. And what it would have done is that that money would have gone towards us using Dungeons and Dragons for educational and rehabilitative uses at a prison near Seattle. We would have to obviously travel there, but there's enough money in there to cover our travels and other expenses.
Yeah.
And we didn't get it. They said they did give me feedback and said we had an extremely thorough application and they love what we do and everything like that. But apparently somebody else got it. Don't know who. I have theories.
Okay.
But, and you're asking me, why am I talking about that? That's obviously old news, right? Well, it is, but there's more to talk about. May 15th.
Yeah.
And the only reason I haven't brought this up previously is because we were off the air during this time.
Yeah.
Washington's public libraries are receiving Dungeons & Dragons box sets and funding through a grant program. So 50 libraries are receiving the box set, which I am going to believe is going to be this one, because this is what I received for our after-school programs, and this is the stuff that they do on the literacy program. You can find this article on sos.wa.gov, which is Secretary of State.
Yeah, that is a massive link. There's a bunch of links there.
Yeah.
Oops.
But if you click on them, they'll take you to the right place. You don't have to actually type them out unless you want to. Our links are safe, made with the finest Imaginarium.
Yes. And,
Well-
and don't worry, we will give Hearth Holmes the proper lashings for his
Don't threaten to help. If they leave us, we're done. All right, so this is the starter set they got. They may have other objects that they may have received, and I'm only speculating on the other objects they received because this is what I received for my after-school programs, even though I'm not a school or library. We are an educational program.
Yeah.
And they are gladly to help us. So this blue box here, if I can remember how to open it. Yes, you may. And this red box here one of them is terrain, and the other one is for monsters. I think I've gotten this one to figure out how to open it. You would think I would remember how to open these.
I don't want to break these.
All right. Well, one is tokens that you can put little stickers on them to peel and replace, like the play school color forms.
Oh, there we go.
All right. So you got one open?
Yep.
Okay, I get it now. That is the terrain set. Now show them this one. This is monsters. And if you pull the book out, you can see that we have a bunch of tokens behind that thing. You'll have to pull out the red part. Those little tokens you put stickers on, and they're for the various different sizes, and it allows an easy way to do miniatures.
Yeah.
Instead of carrying a whole bunch of miniatures. Trust me, I carry cases just for my miniatures for particular games, and it's pretty good. This here is an introduction version of the first thing I ever got from the Dragonspire Peak Adventure preview, but now this is actually available on D&D Beyond, this preview. When they said in the article that it was a box set, I'm assuming it's this box set here, the starter set. They might be receiving those tokens and terrain pieces for the traveling GM. One of the examples of things that I get is like the latest thing here is Dungeons and Dragons Storytelling with the Bard, and their school syllabi. They're using Dungeons and Dragons for educational purposes. They will they have breakdowns of how they fit in the curriculum, how to gain points, for funding and things like that. And we got a nice poster here that they presented us, all these things, and they sent me a letter that I have to respond to real quick. Reply business mail, we need to fill this out soon. So they will continue to send us physical product instead of just things. Well, if you're a library, an after-school program, or working on that kind of stuff, please definitely check out the educator resources at dnd.wizards.com/resources/educators, because that is where you're going to find the digital versions of everything I got here. And if you're a school, library, or a program like us, you can sign up for the physical pieces of that. Now, real quick, we've done that. Very good. Almost on time. We're ending our
Just talking section.
Here I am saying and looking at the clock real closely because it's been a while.
It has been.
We got to get back in that flow and that roll and earn my VIP badges.
Yes. So coming up next, we have our. We're gonna have about a 5-minute break, and then we're gonna come back and talk about our main topic, which is going to be the Western genre.
Right, and how it applies to role-playing games.
Yes.
And we're going to get a little more deeper into what is the Western genre.
Yeah.
Is the Western genre California from the 1800s?
And the 49ers, not the football player.
Yeah.
Football teams.
The 49ers are out there mining.
Yeah.
But 1849er, not 1949.
Yeah.
We'll be talking more about those kind of details and things like that. Also, normally at this time, we would talk about our wonderful sponsors. And right now, we technically don't have any sponsors. Now, Wizards of the Coast sponsors our after-school program.
Yeah.
I must definitely state that. We are the first organization to get a license to use all their programs in our therapeutic and educational programs and after-school programs. If you're another group that is trying to do what we do or something similar to what we do, definitely reach out to the role-playing game companies and get a license to use their products so they can't shut you down later if they decide to become a Disney company.
Yeah.
No offense, Disney.
No, we don't want to incur the wrath of the mouse.
Yes, that angry mouse that can really tear us down.
Yeah.
But other sponsors, like people that have donated things, are always wonderful. We have our Patreon and our other donors, but a full-on sponsor that are helping us out. We need more of those.
Yeah.
We spend $5,000 a month just keeping the lights on with the insurance, the rent, and everything else. We have plans to fully buy the place eventually.
We'd like to. We
have plans on doing travel again. We've been to Gen Con twice. I've been a few more times than that.
Yeah.
We've been to Zoe. We've been to PAX. We need to get back out there, but that's not free. Even if we get free tickets, we have to get there and we have to sleep somewhere. And trust me, I've tried sleeping in the trailer. I don't mind sleeping in the trailer, but when the police come knocking on the door and tell me no camping, we got to move on.
Yeah.
Any last things you want to say?
Not that I can really think of. Any help that you guys can give to help us help others is greatly appreciated.
We are most out there to help the community of every group. Yeah. We don't care what associations you have, what you look like. I have a personal preferences, not accepting the undead to come through the door. But, depending on how well you behave,
if they're not bitey,
yeah,
that's not a problem. Yeah, but we've had, despite our, small size, we've had reaches throughout the entire globe. We've had, people that we've worked with in the Middle East,
we've
South
had
America.
Everybody on every continent but Antarctica.
So we're trying to get some help, some resources in Antarctica and the space station. But
that would be a wonderful thing. Let's play Dungeons and Dragons in space. Of course, they'd probably rather play Star Trek. But there's all kinds of role-playing games.
I'd prefer to run Call of Cthulhu for them.
Ooh, I got some adventures, Call of Cthulhu and space adventures that would just terrify them. They'll never land.
Yeah.
Last thing to say is we do want a welcoming and safe facilities for everybody. All our broadcasts, everybody we want to do welcoming, safe. All of our dungeon masters and therapists have full criminal background checks
Yeah.
to weed out the one other group that we don't tolerate.
Mm-hmm.
And if you can't figure out who they are by the fact that we do background checks,
Yeah.
I'm happy for you.
Yeah. we aren't just saying we try to do safe and inviting environments. We make sure that it is a safe and inviting environment.
Okay, so I think we're about to go on break now, or are we going break on the hour itself? Now is the time.
Yep.
So we will see you in approximately 5 minutes.
Yep.
Give or take a millennium.
Yeah. See you in a bit. Thank you for coming back. This is the RPG Talk Show. My name is Alan Ivy, and this is
John Welker, Vice President of RPG Research. And today's topic is the Wild West.
No. It's Westerns. There's a difference.
Okay, first of all, to clarify, we are talking about role-playing games
Yes.
and different genres
Yes.
in the one. We've talked about fantasy. We've talked about some science fiction.
Yeah, we have.
Actually, technically, science fiction fits under the role of speculative fantasy.
Correct.
But a Western is a historical.
It would be a speculative history.
Speculative history.
Yeah.
Okay. But what's the difference between a Western as in time and location or
Setting.
a Western and the themes? I mean, how does it become a genre and not just a set location?
So let's talk about the setting first. Western is the American West. The 49ers, the Gold Rush, all of that 20-year period, I believe, where we were trying to settle the Old West.
Well, it was a little longer than 20 years, I think, because the 49ers through almost the 80s.
I actually want to say that what we consider the Wild West is a lot smaller period of time than people realize. But let's see here. Thank you, Hearth, for bringing that up. The Western is a film genre defined by the American Film Institute. Western films derived from Wild West shows which began in the 1870s. So 49ers to the 70s, it was less than a generation.
Well, yeah, I know that the 1890s, which is considered the Victorian era, was also happening at the same time the Wild West was, which was happening at the same time the Last Samurais were existing, and the Pirates of Caribbeans were running rampant.
Yes.
So all those people could meet in a bar one day. So explain. Continue explaining.
So that is the setting. And one of the things that I've found, especially in movies, is you can have a movie that feels like a Western, but isn't in the setting. And you can have that are movies and films and stories that are set in the Western setting that doesn't feel like a Western. And it's an important distinction, especially when you're running a game, because you could have it's the Wild West, and hijinks ensue, and it's now a comedy routine, and yeah, it's in the setting, but it doesn't feel like a Western. What is needed to feel like a Western?
So, like a movie that's Go East, Young Man, or Blazing Saddles, which are completely comedies and current political satire. You have shows like Cowboys and Aliens.
Yeah.
Those aren't Westerns?
Although they may be set in a Western area. But then I can also bring up a Cowboy Bebop, or Firefly, or Logan.
Right.
Or Star Wars, which are all considered by genre Westerns.
As opposed to space opera, science fiction.
Right.
And
there's an overlap.
Anime. Again, anime is not a genre. Anime is a medium.
Yeah. So, one of the things that I try to bring up with when it comes to Western as a genre is where Westerns tended to pull some of their influence from, which is Akira Kurosawa. He had a specific style that, a film from the East.
You're saying American Westerns are greatly influenced by Japanese samurai stories?
Absolutely.
Okay, explain.
So, one of Kurosawa had 4 themes that he tended to cover in his stories.
Okay.
There is the master-discipline relationship.
All right. Where's that seen in a Western?
Well, I can't really think of any right now, but when we're looking at, for example, Star Wars, Obi-Wan and Luke Skywalker.
Okay. I do know that if you look at Dancing with Wolves, it has a very similar feel to The Last Samurai.
It does, yeah. And in that case, you have a lot of the with Dancing with Wolves, you have the outsider who is learning about Native Americans from some of the older people. Like,
Right.
when it comes to the Kurosawa stuff, we also have like say Lone Wolf and Cub, where you have a lot of times an older adult male who is going about his routine, and they have a someone that they need to protect.
Would that also qualify with like the Lone Ranger and Tonto?
Yes. Yeah.
Okay.
Or the Mandalorian and Goru.
And these are all based on Kurosawa.
Yeah.
And are a standard theme of a Western.
Yes.
Okay.
There's also the heroic champion. Someone who, despite all the wrongs in the world, and with Westerns there's a lot of wrongs, he tries to do his best to be an upstanding and, vigilant person.
Fistful of dollars.
Yep.
Okay.
Yeah. There's also the close examination of nature and human nature. So in
I
Western,
can definitely see a couple Westerns that do that.
yeah, the fact that we're talking about what does it mean to live in this world, this is one of the reasons why the setting is important, but it's the examination of the setting, not just the Western setting.
Would you say The Last Postman fits in the Western genre?
I can't say that only because I haven't seen The Last Postman.
Okay.
Yeah.
It's basically a Pony Express story.
Mm-hmm.
But set in the apocalyptic future.
Right. Right. And when we take a look at some of the other, Kurosawa, non-setting westerns, for example, one of my favorites, Cowboy Bebop, the setting of the space era is a major factor in the stories. What is it like to live in this setting? What are the struggles that the everyman has to deal with?
And the fact that it's Wild West bounty hunters.
Yeah, it is. And how, when we're talking about, story themes, man versus environment, well, how does living in this setting affect who you are?
Okay. And what else?
Then we also have cycles of violence, how violence begets violence.
That's called history.
Yeah, but on a smaller scale, for example, Tombstone.
Right?
Yeah.
Now, Tombstone the show or Tombstone the actual event?
Yes.
Okay. Both of
yes.
them. All right, yeah.
Yeah. When you have a setting like the Old West, where it is a dog eat dog, there's sometimes the law is as corrupt as the people breaking the law. People tend to have very emotional reactions, and people have vendettas, and you get this cycle of violence where one person is wronged and they must have their revenge, and then you suddenly have a duel at high noon.
Right. There's a great show called Deadwood.
Mm-hmm.
The scary part about it is you see all this corruption, you see how bad life was, and then you find out, you start Googling some of the names of the characters there, and you find out that Deadwood is not only fiction, but it is strongly based on real life.
Yeah.
The names of the characters, so it's been dramatized, but a lot of the stuff that happened in that show happened in real life.
Yeah.
With those actual people.
So one of the things that I like to highlight when I'm dealing with a Western genre, making especially role-playing games, make it feel like a Western. One, it has to be gritty.
Right.
It has to feel like life is cheap. You can die at any moment. So no high fantasy, no high-powered. Everything needs to be, very, everyman.
Well, what about like Pathfinder role-playing game or Dungeons & Dragons? But Pathfinder has gone out of its way to make a fantasy western with gunslingers and wand slingers and people with the cowboy hats and train heist and dragons.
Yeah.
all of those things. So that's more of a high-powered Western.
Mm-hmm.
Or is it? Is that fitting the Western genre, or is it just taking Western cliches and doing a fantasy story?
Well, I haven't played Pathfinder all that much, but I'm familiar enough with Dungeons and Dragons where I have to ask the question: Does the environment that they're in and the culture, around them affect their well-being, or can they shrug off any minor inconvenience?
Well, these stories are written not for you to shrug off inconvenience, even at higher levels.
Mm-hmm.
But the better example, I think, is Eberron, which is pulp fiction.
It is,
but it also has a lot of Western themes with bounty hunting. Trains, train heists are one of the things.
I feel like Eberron would be pretty decent to pull off a Western.
Yeah, it's where I go for a steampunk, for a Wild West theme. But if I want a true Wild West role-playing game, I have to go to GURPS.
I've heard that, yeah.
Because Weird West, Red Dead Redemption, Zombie Edition, or Cowboys and Aliens are stuck on those Western themes, but they're not a true historical role-playing game. Lincoln was not assassinated by a shape-shifting alien.
I thought he fought vampires.
Again, Weird West. The fact that a Wendigo shows up, I ran a GURPS role-playing game where magic was believed in, but it wasn't part of the systems. It wasn't, you didn't have people casting fireball. Real werewolves did not show up. Yeah. There were people who were pretending to be werewolves.
So more superstition.
Yes. Superstition is a real thing, which I've had a problem with other groups for. For example, the SCA doesn't want you to mention the superstitions that the people believed in. I asked about gargoyles once, and they said, well, what's that? Well, these are the guardians that they put on churches. And he says, oh, we don't believe in any of this stuff. And I'm like, you don't believe in architecture? I'm confused.
And I feel like being able to at least play into some of those superstitions, it's a wonderful way to bring character, more character to your character.
Right.
For example, in The Mummy, you had the character who, he was very, very religious, very, very superstitious. He had all the
holy symbols he could find.
He was going rifling through them. He believed in all of them, and at the same time didn't believe in any of them.
Well, he went so far as that he could say prayers in every language, which is what saved his life, because he could speak Hebrew.
Yeah.
And the language of the slaves, and the Egyptian mummy at least knew how to speak that.
Yeah. So if you're dealing with a setting, and say the natives have a certain whether it is backed by real magic or not, Beni Gabor, whether the superstitions are backed by real magic or not, if you buy into that and abide by it, then you're getting better immersion into the setting.
One of the role-playing games that I ran that had actual magic in it was called The Feast of the Dead.
Yeah.
I went in on the Kickstarter, haven't gotten the physical book yet, 4 years later. But they claim they're still going to be doing it. But the point is, it was kind of a Western because it was Native Americans traveling from point A to point B, and it was not in the West, it was Eastern Canada.
Yeah.
But it still had that feel.
It was a frontier.
It was definitely a frontier.
Yeah.
They were transporting a Jesuit priest to their tribe, and they meet a Wendigo. The first attack is perfectly normal. That's just wolves. But the second encounter with a monster was an actual Wendigo.
Yeah.
And player characters could cast spells through their faith system. So there wasn't, you don't have a magician, you have faith-based magic on both sides.
Nice.
And it was very cool, but it wasn't a set in the Wild West thing. It was actually pre-Wild West, because we're talking just after or just before the War of Independence.
So I feel, when it comes to Westerns, I feel having that frontier where, what you do has an influence, has a direct influence on the livelihood that you can have, and
Right.
the people around you, and there's the area is separated from what you'd expect normal civilization to be. I think that is a wonderful place to start. With the frontier, with the Western genre. There's a certain level of isolation even in the community.
Correct.
Yeah.
Especially if you are the quote unquote outsider, which different times periods could be people that we consider insiders now.
Yeah.
Oh, the Italians and the Irish. Those swarthy Mediterranean types who weren't Nordic stock, which just, even for like Deadwood, the Nords.
Yeah.
The Norwegians were considered outsiders. It's just so strange to see these people, how you could be alone in a crowded area because you aren't exactly like everybody else, or for whatever reason.
And I also want to point out that like societal and cultural isolation tends to do some interesting things when it comes to morality and ethics. So historically, one of the major things that happened in our actual West is a lot of the West were, the cities and whatnot were developed and built up by prostitutes. Prostitution, this day is considered illegal and amoral, but they were a backbone to the development of the Wild West.
They were what are the reason we had towns in some cases. They were a very civilizing force, as well as a dangerous group of people due to other reasons.
Yeah.
Biological and infighting.
And I know that there were, people would think like, oh, the sheriff is the most important person in town, or the mayor is the most important person in town. But sometimes the people who were running the brothels, those women had more power than many other people.
And in some cases, they're the only reason that education got built into some of these towns, like Silver, Idaho. I'm probably saying that wrong. Not Silverwood, which is north of us.
Yeah.
But, silver mining places that we have in Idaho, where their education was because prostitutes brought it in. You want to talk about Westerns with prostitution, look at Firefly.
Yeah.
There was a professional companion as one of the main characters on Silver City, Idaho. I believe that's what I was trying to think of. And she's basically a prostitute. But it wasn't frowned upon. It wasn't looked as abnormal. Even the shepherd, who is a preacher, shepherd's what they call the preachers, had no problem with her.
Yeah, and I think one of the things that happens in Westerns is your standard feeling about ethics and morals comes into play, because a lot of times, because people are struggling to survive, it comes with certain caveats. And this is one of the reasons, especially if you're running a role-playing game, the safety and consent issues that we go through are incredibly important. because
Well, are you talking consent as for the players or um, in the story?
I want to say both.
Yeah.
If your players aren't familiar with or are not prepared for some of the grayer aspect of morality, then it could be off-putting for some, and we
Yeah.
don't want to subject people to that without them knowing it's coming beforehand, so that they can decide whether they want to be a part of that or not.
Right, and we have the consent form.
Mhm.
You can get that online. Just look up RBG consent form, and anybody can find that. It is by Montcook Games.
Yes, he does a wonderful consent form.
And it's a great tool for deciding how you're going to run your games and what kind of game you're going to be doing. But if you're doing a Western, you are going to come across topics such as prostitution,
Yep.
drug use, opium was a big thing.
Racism.
Racism was huge.
Mm-hmm.
And people's societal impacts, but we had the great equalizer known as the six gun. The fact that a lot of people carried guns or knives, but the fact that you were a rich person wouldn't save you from a bullet.
Yeah. Now someone else is a rich person and you're dead.
Yeah, the rich person could be more dangerous because they hire people with guns.
Mm-hmm.
And the problems between the ranchers and the town and the people who are alcoholic, gamblers, all these things that we look down upon sometimes in our society are just a fact of life. And whether or not these things are going to exist. Wild West, when I was running my Wild West, it was a very historical event, which I tried to downplay some of the more nastiest parts of this event, which was called the Long Walk for the Navajos. And the fact that we were dealing with Native Americans, Mexicans, and the war that was still happening at that time. The Civil War had not ended. The people that were moving the Navajo and the Apache to their encampment in Arizona.
I believe so.
Yeah. Rondo, I can't remember right now the name of the place. But what's important to know is this all happened in the backdrop of the Civil War.
Yeah.
As well as medicines becoming more advanced than it ever was. We had just, at the time of this setting, just learned to wash our hands in a medical setting.
Yeah.
And it is a lot of things that was happening were heartbreaking.
Yeah.
But a lot of things that were happening in America and the world over were a giant leap in technology and medicine. We're now getting into the steam age.
Yep.
Those trains were fairly new. We were just getting to the point where intercontinental travel was a thing that could be done safely in days instead of months of extremely dangerous conditions. And these are also themes that we see in any Wild West, was the new connectivity, the new change into the technologies, the telegraph.
Yeah.
Heck, the telegraph was still being used heavily in the 1930s. Marconi was when?
Not sure.
But, wireless radio was brand new in World War One.
I believe the Hedley Marr was instrumental in that patent.
I maybe Hedy Lamarr.
Yeah.
I do know one of our famous actresses of the time was actually a genius
Yes.
and was able to bring in a lot of things for the government that would not have existed if it wasn't for this actress.
Yeah. I also want to, add on because a lot of times when we think of westerns, the setting, we tend to, kind of pigeonhole it to the American West. But I also want to include, for example, there's a major kind of like a Robin Hood-esque character that fits squarely in the American West, Zorro.
Right.
Yeah.
Zorro's stories were already being told during the actual Wild West.
Yeah.
You want to talk about science fiction and things like that. The War of the Worlds was written in the 1860s during the Civil War.
Yeah, during the Wild West.
Yeah, and what did they do to shut down communication? They were knocking over telegraph poles and destroying train depots. There's a Wild West story there, written during the time there, that we now mostly see in the modern setting, because that's how most of us first saw it in the movies. And it was set in the 1950s. But the radio show was in the 30s.
Yeah.
And the latest movie was set in modern times. So the same stories, the same themes can be repositioned to replace it. Quickly Down Under. Definitely a Wild West story set in Australia.
I feel, as we mentioned at the top of this segment, this is why I feel like just having the setting isn't as important to the Western as, these aspects of frontier life.
Right.
You kind of need a frontier for any type of Western.
There was a documentary I saw talking about frontier and similar themes, and it was called 1,000 Trolls, and it was all about the native Norwegians. And these native Norwegians, when you compare their story with the Native Americans of the United States, they're so interchangeable. Everything from the feather headdresses to the language being locked in church-run schools where you are not allowed to speak your native language, when they were trying to destroy these natives. And the problems with alcohol and gambling happened in Norway almost exactly like it happened here in the United States. The fact that in Australia we have the indigenous people and their struggles against these new territorialists that came in and took over the land and had cattle runs, sheep, pistols and rifles from the same period, but thousands of miles on a different hemisphere.
Massive ecological change due to invasive species. Yeah, all in Australia, or we could be talking about the buffalo.
Right.
Yeah.
These stories are shaped differently by their locations and sometimes by their time period, but they are very much the same stories. Now, how does this affect role-playing games? Well, of course, when you're doing a role-playing game, you are telling stories.
Yeah.
And if you want to play a Dungeons and Dragons role-playing game that is fed by the Wild West, or if you want to play a Big Eyes Small Mouth game that is themed by Kurosawa or Cowboy Bebop, or you want to do a science fiction Wild West, Dune has some very much Wild West. The fact that most of the people fought with knives, but you also had guns, and you had the native tribes and people. Now, I would not call this the white savior syndrome, because these people adapted to the cultures that they became part of, and just because they got leadership positions, but they were part of the tribe before they became leaderships.
Yeah.
And the Wild West is a universal theme.
Yeah.
I think. So what games would you recommend for people to play to get these Wild West feels?
Well, we mentioned GURPS already. I feel...
GURPS is going to be the most historically accurate non-magical system, because you can do literally anything with GURPS. I think you can do most anything with Rifts as well, but it's got more of that time travel or dimensional travel theme in there. Why GURPS, you can just completely ignore any magic whatsoever.
Yeah. I feel if we stay to Tier 1 Dungeons and Dragons, I feel like you can definitely get you may be able to pull off a
Define Tier 1.
Levels 1 through 4.
Okay. So when he's talking about levels of play within Dungeons and Dragons, as opposed to a Tier 1 recommendation from our role-playing game group, which is from simplest and available for the youngest audiences up to the most complex and more mature audiences. Those are different tiers entirely.
I feel like you could adapt Lord of the Rings to a Western. Especially with some of the journey rules.
Yes, the journey rules and the audience rules definitely could be adapted to a Western setting easily. You can definitely do Tor rules and just change, get rid of the orcs and have natives. And, one of the things about Tor is it doesn't talk about races as far as player characters are concerned. They talk about cultures.
Yeah.
So you get rid of the monsters entirely, and you can just use the cultures of the Native American, the culture of the cowboy, and the culture of the dude from the East, and the different languages. You could adapt the rules fairly easy to fit that Western genre.
I also feel like Call of Cthulhu could work very well as a Western, especially if you start bringing in some of the spirituality.
Right. Well, Call of Cthulhu has many historical settings. Gotham by Gaslight is one that I went to comic books. I'm sorry. It's Cthulhu by Gaslight is the title of the setting, but it can definitely be more swayed towards the West. You just change out some of the monsters and give them more native feel. Wendigos, spirit animals, and you add some more of that eldritch horror but set in the West. You can definitely do that. There have been modules and settings that dealt with natives on the East, and just do your own research and do historical things. I wouldn't be surprised at all if there were already some cult classics out there that are set in Western areas for Cthulhu. And there are monsters that are already there for cryptology that could be definitely rewritten to give you that Western feel.
I also want to, and this is a personal favorite of ours that I feel would work very, very well for a Western setting. Twilight 2000.
Yes. You just have to
change.
just get the technology down. And that's all I do. So, role-playing games
Yeah.
for computers.
Red
Red
Dead
Dead Redemption's
Redemption.
been done,
Yeah.
said a lot. That is probably the most popular Western-themed.
And I think they do a really, really good job with that.
Right. I think Zelda can be considered a Western in some ways. That lone hero going from town to town.
Some of them, yes.
Yeah.
Yeah.
If you
Especially
look,
Twilight Princess.
Twilight Princess, but I was also thinking the crossbow game.
Yeah.
Legend of Zelda crossbow game where you are shooting a crossbow at the pop-ups. It's a shoot 'em up game, and it is very Wild West themed. Everything from the horse to
Ocarina of Time. Yeah.
Yeah.
And actually, now that we bring up Ocarina of Time, the whole idea that in that game you're moving from one community to another, and they seem to be a bit isolated, but you're the one that is connecting them. I can see certain Western themes in there, although I wouldn't call it a true Western.
Right, and I don't want anybody to come back and say, "Oh, Ocarina of Time is now
a Western."
Well, you can't come back and say that it's now Western, and therefore it's racist because obviously the orcs and goblins are the Native Americans. Not necessarily. What is your last thing you want to get across before we head into the next 15-minute break in just 3 minutes away?
One of the things that I mentioned earlier at the top was when you're thinking about Westerns, and don't discount the idea of a Western just because, Wild West, and that sounds boring, but the themes of Westerns are very, very personal. It is very much, what are people doing to survive? And I think those themes make very interesting and strong stories.
Now, actually, right now I want to bring up a fact. We've had a little chat on the thing.
Yeah.
I do want more people to chat. I do want you to send emails to info@rpgresearch.com with your ideas, your topics, your suggestions, and always make sure that in the subject line you include the words talk show so we know that you're talking directly to us and not just a general RPG research topic.
Yeah.
And we will address your questions, your concerns, and comments here on the show.
Yeah.
And if you have things that says, I want to play a Western with big eyes, small mouth, how can I do that? How can I do it with the Cypher system or any other system? We'll gladly get to talk to you about those.
Spitball some ideas, do some research, figure out what we can do.
And if you want a topic that you want us to cover, right now we're doing genres.
Yeah.
But we're going to talk about therapy. We're going to talk about safety. We're going to talk about all those nice things that make an RPG a deeper and better experience for you. So if there's something you want us to talk about, let us know, or we'll just keep rambling about the things we want to say, which is not a horrible thing, I hope.
But do we really need to start talking about role-playing games and furries?
Why not?
Why not?
I mean, come on. We have great games. Just look at Dungeons & Dragons. Humblewood. You take on the role of an animal, a sentient animal. Mouse Guard.
Yeah.
I love Mouse Guard. There are other of those, Red Wall, those kind of things.
Anthropomorphism
is something that's been in role-playing games for a long time.
And stories.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Heck, Native American stories, everything where you have the talking fox and wolves,
coyote, and others, and skinwalkers. Yeah.
Yeah. So that's not an off topic subject for us. People who are doing furries are doing a type of role playing.
Yep.
They may have not deal with rules as much, but there are also furries that do LARP.
Yeah.
And we cover all of those type of topics. So let us know what you want. We are going to be back in
5 minutes.
Is it 5 or 15? I think breaks are supposed to be 15 minutes.
No, I think they're 5.
Intermission is 15 minutes according to my clock.
Okay,
So we
yeah,
will be
15 minutes.
back here at 2000 hours, 8 o'clock. So thank you.
We'll be back. Welcome back. This is the RPG Talk Show. My name is Daniel Ivey, and this is
John Wilker, Vice President of RPG Research, and one of two hosts on this talk show.
I'm the other one.
If you haven't figured that out by now. So, RPG Research is a 501c3 nonprofit organization that studies the effects of all role-playing games in all formats for their beneficial and therapeutical, educational, all those other benefits that we can get out of them. You can find more about us at rpgresearch.com. And right now, we're going to go into our next section, which is the
Traps and Riddles. Where John sets up a riddle that I have not seen before. We've been doing Challenge of Champions.
Challenge of Champions. It comes from Dungeon number 58 back in 1996. The module can be found on page 32. It's written by Jonathan M. Richards, and the art was done by Terry Dykstra. We will be showing some of the art because it's necessary for him to solve these riddles. Now, some of these, if we get people who want to be a guest on the show and they want to participate in this particular part, I have written my own riddles that will hurt the brain a little bit. Not a lot. I haven't had any bleeding from the ears yet.
Allegedly.
Presumably.
Yes.
So, rather than wasting a lot of time, the quick premise is Challenge of Champions, they get a scenario, and there are supposed to be 4 participants. We only have 1 participant.
Yeah, but I play 4 characters.
Exactly, which is going to be weird in this one. You'll see why.
Yeah.
And you get points for solving the whole thing. So, for the next scenario, your party is separated for the first time since starting this contest. The priest is escorted by Father Quispin, the guild priest proctoring the 8th scenario. Yes, that's right. We've done 7 more previously of this.
Yeah.
To a balcony-like platform overlooking a small ledge some 20 feet below. Please go ahead and show him the image.
Okay.
In front of the ledge is a pool of acid from which vantage the priest watches as his 3 teammates are led to the ledge where they are gagged and their hands bound in manacles attached to chains to 3 large rings in the wall. So you're the priest is at the top there, and at the bottom you see your other people there. Below you see your friends in the shackles. Your job is to free them.
Yeah.
However you are able. Your priest meditation medallion is down there with them. So in order to get your reward for doing this, you're going to have to get people up. Please, though, take note of the pool directly below you. It is filled with acid, so anything you drop into it is quickly dissolves.
Okay.
And the gods help the poor soul who falls into it themselves. Faith be with you, my child. I assure you, you can overcome these obstacles that bar your success in the adventure.
Okay.
Now, everybody below is gagged, so you can't talk to them at this time. With their hands manacled to 8-foot chains looped through the ring, which is attached to the wall. On the floor by these 3 lies your priest medallion, and you are on the upper level, some 20 feet above the others. With all the equipment noted above, below the priest and in front of the others is a pool of acid. The key ring is welded shut, and the keys cannot be removed from the ring.
Okay. So, you said the key ring is... They're trapped in there.
Right. Now, did I mention in here that you have a mouse up there with you?
I have a mouse.
Yeah. Okay. The starting equipment with your teams, it consists of a heavy ring of keys, a ball of twine, and a little white mouse. You have a scroll with the messenger on it. Now, the whistle is blown and the time is going. So, you still have 14 minutes left.
So, I have the medallion down at the floor. Up above, I have a heavy ring of keys, a mouse, a twine, and a scroll with message.
Messenger, yes.
Is the mouse trained?
No, but you may have to figure something else out.
Okay.
Do you need information on the spell, or do you know that spell?
What does the message do?
Messenger actually gets a small animal like a mouse or a bird or something like that to deliver a message for you.
Okay. Can it deliver can it deliver objects?
If it's not too heavy for them to carry.
Okay.
The key ring is heavier than the mouse, by the way.
I figured. Okay. So you said their mouth is gagged?
Your party members are gagged, so you can't ask them for any advice or help in this one.
Unless I can get the mouth gag off.
Right, but then again, since they're all you, it doesn't really matter, does it?
I feel like it does. So,
okay.
I have a cleric, a fighter, a wizard, and a rogue.
Correct.
Okay, the cleric is up at the top.
Yes.
Okay. I'm first going to have are the feet of the characters bound?
No. They're chained up on a ring just like you see right there.
Uh-huh. So, I'm going to have the rogue, because he's got the best dexterity, kind of contortionate his foot to get the gag out of his mouth with his foot.
Okay. He does that.
Yes. He can now speak.
Except he doesn't want to because now his face smells like foot. But go anyways.
Okay. Much to the chagrin of the fighter and the wizard, he's going to do that for them too.
All right. So they're going to play footsies and faces.
Yeah.
Hopefully nobody has hoof and mouth disease.
We will deal with that later. The cleric will heal it afterwards.
Okay.
Yes.
So, what else?
Okay. Next, they're going to coordinate it by shouting at the cleric up above that, we're going to need to try and get the ring down. And I feel like the messenger spell is going to be important. Let's see here. How long is the twine?
The twine is long. You've got like 50 feet of twine.
Okay, so the cleric is going to tie one end of the twine to the railing.
Okay.
Attach the other end of the twine to the heavy ring of chain.
Okay.
And throw it down to the people. So
All
now,
right.
So now I have a little walkway between the twine up above to the people down below.
All right. You take the heavy thing and you got the little string attached to it.
Yeah.
And you just throw the keys down to the people there.
Yes.
All right. Now, you rolled a hit.
Mm-hmm.
And you hit the fighter directly in the groin.
Everyone in the audience is going to be unhappy that his gag was removed.
Yes, as he screams and says words that you haven't heard since your school days.
No one was aware that before this he was a sailor. Yes.
9 minutes.
Yeah. There are no keyholes.
No, there are keyholes in the shackles. You can unlock it if you have the keys. So right now, they're up like this, and he's got keys in his lap.
So the rogue is going to do some contortioning again, and with his feet, move that heavy key up to the fighter's hands.
Okay. That is difficult. It's time consuming.
Mm-hmm.
But you are eventually able to, with some good dexterity checks, get those keys into the hands of the fighter.
Yes. Okay. The fighter is then going to shuffle the keys from him to the wizard, then to the rogue, and the rogue is going to start checking keys to see if he can get himself out of those shackles. He's going to check all the keys.
Okay. And
Just to see if it's that simple.
So he takes the keys and frees himself. So he now is out of the shackles.
Okay. And now he's going to free the wizard and the fighter.
Okay. They all three prisoners down there are now freed from their shackles.
But we have to get them up, right?
Yes. They have not escaped until they're on the platform with you.
Right. How far is the two walls?
How far are they apart?
Yeah.
Let's see here. 8-foot chains, 3 separate levels, some 20 feet above. I'm going to say it's 10 feet across.
10 feet?
Yep.
How long is that ledge that they're standing on?
That ledge is only about 3 feet. Because if you see that it's just butts to legs, it's just the legs part.
Okay. They're going to take the shackles that they were bound in. Are they able to remove them from the wall now?
Well, if you look at that big ring there, they fit right through there easily.
Okay, so we're going to chain them end to end, which gives me 8, 16, 24 feet. Okay. Then tie, one loose end to the ring, and the clerk is going to start pulling it back. And on the other end, you're going to shackle it to that ring.
You're going to try to use the string to pull up
the 24 feet of chain.
Okay. You start pulling it up. And okay. So you start pulling it up with the string.
Yeah.
The string breaks.
As soon as it breaks, they're pulling it back in to make sure that they don't lose the chains.
Into the acid water.
Correct.
Okay.
Okay.
That would require a roll. For this case, we always say you successfully declare on anything that you succeed on something that requires just a roll, and you now have the chains back over with you.
Okay. We're going to unlock them, and
5 minutes.
We're going to try and sling one of the chains up towards the clerk.
Not all linked together, just one?
Just one.
Okay.
Is it able to get up there?
Yeah, and he catches it.
We're going to do it with the other 3. With the other 2.
Okay. Then he takes the time to lock them all back together.
Correct.
Okay. And then does what?
And then he's going to slowly lower it down to not to acid level, but enough that he can start swinging it.
Okay.
And he's going to have one of them, probably the fighter's going to catch it.
Okay.
Then attach it to the ring.
Okay.
And the clerk is going to attach the other shackle to the
Rail.
rails,
Okay.
and now that they're secure, we're going to use the chain to climb up.
All right.
All three of
And
them.
with approximately 4 minutes left to spare, you actually made it.
Mm-hmm.
Would you like to hear the official solution?
No, not yet. And when we get up there, we're going to pet the mouse and say that we were never going to put you in harm's way.
Squeak, squeak.
We're going to send off a message. We're going to use a scroll to send a message to the people who made this. Don't put animals in jeopardy.
You get an announce from the announcer. Animal was never in jeopardy.
Yes.
You know that the cold water. I mean, the acid was just cold water.
Mm-hmm.
And even if you fell in, you would have just been declared dead, not actually dead.
I know. So what is the official acid?
Okay, the official response is really close to what you did, with a few things to make it simpler.
Okay.
You cast message on the mouse with instructions to crawl up into the hands of one of the people.
Yeah.
You lower the mouse and swing it over, and then it will climb up to their hand.
Yeah.
With the twine. You hang on to the twine, and they lower down the keys.
Mm-hmm.
Because the twine is strong enough to hold the keys, just not all 3 chains.
Right.
Then after you unlock yourselves, you put the chains together and throw up the end. Not use the string to try to rise it up.
Right.
After, everything else is the same.
Okay.
You got it really close to the official response, and you succeeded.
Yay, and everyone's alive.
Yep, you're reunited and led to the next scenario starting area, a section of corridor 5 feet wide, 15 feet high, and we will get more into that as we discuss scenario 9, Bee Century, coming next week.
Bee Century?
Bear Century.
Bear Century. Okay. I suspect that I'm going to be using...
I could re-say it as Ursine Guard.
I suspect I'm going to be using the Wilderness group for that one.
We'll see. So that will be next week.
Mm-hmm.
Same time, same Dragon Channel.
We're going to have to work on that.
Well, I couldn't say Bat Channel. I don't want to get sued.
Okay.
All right, now we
on to
are
unboxing.
ready for our unboxing.
Which we have up front here already.
Yep. We have it there in front of us, so all you need to do is you change the cameras around, and we'll get into some things that I have to show you. Another way of calling this would be show and tell, because not everything we're going to do is actually boxed. But let's start with the actually boxed item.
This one right here?
Yep.
Okay.
Now, to let everybody know in the audience, I have 2 things that I receive in the mail once a month. I'm about to cancel one of them because this has all been coming out of my pocket.
Mm-hmm.
And if we want to see more of this stuff, I either need somebody to donate one of the products as a monthly thing. This one here costs $36. This is Dungeon Crate. I have been with them since day 1. The other one, which I will do an unboxing of next week, is Dungeon in a Box. And I have only one of the 3 possible crates or boxes that they send out. But let's start with this one, Dungeon Crate.
Yep.
And you go to dungeoncrate.com where you can buy this. This is not a sponsor. Again, this is something I'm buying myself. If Dungeon Crate decides they want to sponsor me, I will not tell them no. If Dungeon the Box wants to sponsor us, I should say, RPG research for these broadcasts, again, I will not say no. Or if you, as a viewer, want to buy a gift subscription for us, we won't say no. So let's get this opened up. This is a monthly subscription box that comes with various different things. And one thing that's missing here is I've already taken the paper out.
Okay.
So why don't you tell us what you see as you're bringing it out?
So we have a decal of some sort, premium vinyl sticker, the D20.
good for your car or for my R2D2.
Yeah.
My R2D2 is actually just a box, a rolling toolbox that I call R2D2 because it reminds me of it. But it is kind of like my NASCAR of dungeon kits. I have all the stickers from different organizations and products that I like. Some of them are just funny.
This looks like really nice quality.
Yep, that you could probably safely put that on your car.
I believe it. We also have a character battle sheet. I'm guessing to be used for something in the dungeon crate. We have notes and magic items. Looks like we can write on this with dry erase.
Yes, and this is actually for any game you want to run. It's more designed for the three systems that I can definitely recommend using it for is Dungeons and Dragons, Pathfinder, and BFRPG.
Right.
Because they all fit the similar systems, and it is a shortcut for the players so they don't have to have their full character sheet out and flip back and forth with things. You can also use them in a stack for the Dungeon Master, but I wouldn't recommend for that.
We have a duck.
Yes, a little rubber ducky, but what's special about this ducky?
It does look like a standard duck. It is, I'm trying to read what it is. Not recommended for children under 3 years old. Darn, I can't use it.
You can't eat it.
It looks like a dragon duck.
It is a dragon duck.
Looks like a white dragon duck.
Yeah. Funny story, I have given my father-in-law way too many rubber duckies. And like, I've actually hit it 160 micro rubber duckies throughout his house. He's a little tired of all these rubber duckies showing, but I don't know if we're going to ever stop. All right, what do we got next?
It's been a while since I've had any of these. Bones miniatures.
And what are these miniatures of?
Let's see here. Kobold leaders. There's 2 of them.
Yeah, Bones is one of the earlier companies. Not Bones. Who makes Bones?
Darkhaven Reaper.
Reaper.
Yeah.
The only one that's older, I think, is Raul Partha. Maybe Games Workshop. But I think Raul Partha was one of the first miniatures that made for fantasy. There was lots of miniatures prior to that for war games, but making them for Dungeons and Dragons, we have to go back to Raul Partha and Reaper as 2 of the oldest.
Yeah, I remember when I was first getting into Dungeons and Dragons, there weren't many miniatures, and I think somewhere I still have a pewter miniature.
If somebody wants to donate it to us, I would love to do a boxing of the Lego Dungeons and Dragons set. I was using Legos for D&D miniatures long time back in first edition, but I don't think I can afford that Dungeons and Dragons Lego set. But if somebody wants to donate it to us, we will gladly unbox it. We'll even have a whole show of building it.
Yes. Yes.
And playing the module that comes with it.
We have a thing. What is in the crate this month?
Yeah, so this takes you to the website, gives you the details, and it has a code on the front there that tells you how to get into the digital content, which is any modules or anything that's in here will be gotten there.
And it looks like there's a cipher at the back to explain it.
Yes.
I think you're trying to hold on to this, so I won't necessarily reveal what the cipher is. Yes. We have, speaking of Little Green Men,
what is that?
We have a cavalry unit.
Or it's a single person.
Yeah.
Now, if you're playing a war game, that would be a cavalry unit. You can do that as well. They typically used one figure for 10 to 100, depending on the size of your scale. At this scale, which is 28 millimeter, this is really meant for one.
Yeah.
And that is, by the size, considered a large figure as opposed to a medium, which is a human, and a small, which is your dog, or a kobold, etc. in different races. So that is green. I probably 3D printed.
Yeah.
And gets to be painted.
And I think this green is probably a pretty good color as a base. It's nice and neutral. That way you can go both dark and light with the painting.
Now, I did not receive instructions on how that guy works as far as painting,
Yeah.
but the bones miniatures that you showed a little bit earlier, they are pre-primed.
Nice.
I don't have to prime them. This, I might have to prime.
You're probably going to have to prime this.
Yeah. And of course, we finished with a wash. Moving on next is...
Mystery dice set.
Yes!
Someone's opened this already.
I won't say who. My wife has claimed the dice.
Okay. So, let's see what's in there. Yellow.
Yep. They're a nice marbly yellow.
Mm-hmm.
They're the standard cut and shape that you would get with all of your... not all, but most of the 7. They're not the extra super sharp or metal or any of those things. They're basically a standard nice set that I got with this subscription. You can usually and guarantee that you're going to get at least one die and maybe one miniature in these sets, sometimes more.
You said this is how much per month?
$36 is what I'm paying for this box.
Okay.
It is a good value. It is not as wonderful as it was when I first started doing this, but then again, I've been getting this for years, and so the newness is worn off a little bit.
So it looks like we have some a magic item, Dreamlink Diadem.
Right, and
It's
that
rare.
the magic item cards are wonderful because they have both Pathfinder rules and Dungeons and Dragons 5th edition rules on the same card.
Yes.
And what's the next card?
This one is player.
Oh, go ahead and show the picture.
There's a diadem.
Okay, which is kind of a necklace thing.
Yes. Although I believe that's normally, isn't it a kind of like a tiara, or is that around
It's like
the
a
neck?
tiara. You know what?
I'm never certain.
I bet it says on the other side what slot it fills.
Rare magical invested. It's a blue circlet, so it goes around your head.
Okay.
+5 bonus to all saves versus sleep effects and mental effects that affect only unconscious targets. So I assume this goes around your head.
Excellent. I know that this is for the module that's included in here.
Yes.
So is this.
This is a player handout 1 and a player handout 2.
Normally don't get player handouts. We do get monster cards and item cards before, but this is the first time I remember us getting handouts.
Yep. And it looks like we have the adventure in here. Well, let's see here.
Okay.
Members save 10%. That which sleeps is the adventure?
Yep. This is probably going to be both 5th edition and Pathfinder rules, but at very least 5th edition, because I saw the 5th edition mark on the front.
Yeah.
Blue text, of course, is for reading out loud. What's that gold there? Is that monster
Consuming
stats?
void. It's a hazard.
Ah, okay. We don't want to talk too much because, spoilers.
And we have maps.
And these maps are really easy to draw if you're going to do it there. But with your digital,
Yeah.
you can print those maps out at the scale you want.
Nice. Nice.
And with a digital, if it doesn't have Pathfinder rules in there, which I don't think it actually does, you probably can get the Pathfinder rules with their digital part of your subscription.
Okay.
It doesn't cost extra for the digital.
And Flight of the Frosted Prince.
This is a one-shot. They have actually, usually put at least one, sometimes 3 different one-card item.
Okay. And then we have paper.
I mean, by one card is the entire module is on one card.
Yeah.
Now the paper belongs to my cat.
Yes. I don't want to take that from your cat.
Yeah.
And that's what's in there.
And like I said, I've been going through these years. These guys have the best customer service. I've had the pleasure of seeing him at Gen Con, and he has supported many of the conventions that I've ran.
Wonderful.
By giving me things to give away to my dungeon masters. You've received some of the stuff that they've given us, like the paper where you can do initiative counting on, and
That duck is
pencils.
cute, by the way.
Yeah, I love it. Yeah, he could be our little mascot. I've got all kinds of stuffed animals and toys. I mean, this is what I have hiding behind the.
And that's just one of many dragons that we have around here.
Yep, this is a Beanie Baby.
Yeah.
All right.
Okay.
So let's go on to the next thing. The Lord of the Rings. Now, The Lord of the Rings is The Adventures in Middle Earth, which was by Cubicle 7. And it is, so we had Adventures in Middle Earth, and there was the 5th edition version, and there was Tor, 1st edition. So Tor, 1st edition, was translated into 5th edition as The Adventures in Middle Earth. And both of those were by Cubicle 7. Cubicle 7 lost the rights, so the writer of these modules moved over to Free League.
Yep.
And we have the One Ring that came out first, and now we have the Lord of the Rings, which is the One Ring 2nd edition translated into 5th edition. One of the major differences between the 2nd edition versions of these and the 1st edition is the 1st edition was centered around Mirkwood.
Yeah.
In that area, Erebor. This is, I believe it was Erebor. I'm pretty sure Hawk is rolling over in his not yet grave to tell me that I've got the wrong location. But this is closer to the Shire. So it's on the other side of the Misty Mountains. In fact, their starter said, I nicknamed Oops All Hobbits.
Oops All Hobbits.
Because it's your group starts as not nothing but everybody in the group is hobbits, and you can get all to the other characters. These two books, other than the cover change and the name change, are almost identical. The One Ring there and the thing. Open up to a page in the One Ring and then open up to a page in the other one. As long as they're about the same page, you'll be able to see.
Ooh, let's see here. 70.
70, okay. Now, if you look at the other book and look for close to 70, you'll know you're in the right spot. Page numbers may be a little bit off, but you'll know you're in the right spot when the illustrations match.
Okay, well, I'm at 70, so 72. Okay.
I can't tell you the difference in there. What is the page? Let me see the book that you have, the one that is at 70.
Here you
go. And I'll tell you what to look for.
Okay.
All right. So this is look up in the book there, Endurance and Hope in the front. Yeah. The page numbers are off because they're different rule systems. A lot of the rules they didn't have to repeat in here because they're already in the player's handbook of Dungeons and Dragons. This one, I mean, the one he's looking in requires the player's handbook. This one doesn't. Oh. So, Endurance and Hope.
In what chapter?
It should be chapter 4.
Chapter 4.
Characteristics.
I see rewards virtue.
Yeah. Switch.
There you go.
All right. Sorry for the silence here. I know it's really rude of me, but I will just wanted to make sure I got the right thing. And guess what? This is let's try this.
Try a different one.
Yeah, try one I know. Go to Hobbits of the Shire.
Hobbits of the Shire.
Mm-hmm.
Where is that?
That will be on page 37.
37.
And Hobbits of the Shire are also... Oh, well, that's 37 of my book.
Mm-hmm.
So you got to look up Hobbits of the Shire in your book.
Okay. Oh, there we go.
All these side by side. They're the same as far as most of the way the rules work. The artwork, the stories are going to be the same. But like I said, at Token Moot, where we can do the same story in different systems, this is the perfect example of it.
Okay. Now, have you gone through the rules for the 5th edition version yet?
I have gone through the rules for Adventures in Middle-earth.
Uh-huh.
I have ran many games. I have just, this last Saturday, at Spark Central, ran a Adventure in Middle-earth module using the Tor 2nd edition rules.
Okay.
And I had to translate all it. Thank goodness I went and I got the Mordor, no, not Mordor, that secret passageway that they have to pass through, the giant dungeon.
Jeez.
Minas Tirith? No. My brain has
Mines of Moria?
Mines of Moria.
Yeah.
So I did the Mines of Moria Kickstarter, and it came with some little mini books that I've already got the PDFs for, but not the physical books.
Yeah.
Including how to make characters for that side of the world.
Yeah.
And that helped me translate the pre-generated characters that were for the 5th edition Adventures in Middle-earth and translate those into Tor rules. And then I had to do some adapting to make it all back into Tor. So I was backtracking. Now that I have the Lord of the Rings, it may be even easier to do some backtracking on the translations.
Okay.
Because I'm going to be able to see the difference between Adventures in Middle-earth and this. I have not begun reading that.
Okay. Because I had some questions about, because as a part of RPG research, there's a number of things from Tor that we appreciate. For example,
this
the
is an
Fellowship
unboxing for me because I've just taken off the plastic.
Okay. So I want to. This is something that I absolutely want to check because I saw something in here for new rules, and there are some rules in the Tor system that I absolutely love, and I wish I could incorporate more into 5th edition. So
Now, I don't know if they put it in here. I hope they've done Fellowship in here. But if they haven't, me and Hawk have already written the rules for incorporating Fellowship into the 5th edition.
So I'm reading here, they've got a chapter for new rules. Structure of the game. Pillars of Adventure, which may be the journey rules. The Fellowship phase is in here.
Yeah. Oh, all the phases are in here. That's the big thing that gets into the 5th edition. We get the 5th edition Fellowship phase. We get the 5th edition travel phase. There's also another book out there called A Life Well Lived, which kind of does the same thing.
Yeah.
But we got the travel phase, the fellowship phase, and the audience phase all introduced into here, which are the biggest changes from a standard 5th edition game.
Yes.
And trust me, they actually make 5th edition better.
Yeah, there are some things like with the journey rules, especially like embarking and going into a new area and having to announce yourself, it makes travel in role-playing games more
it's not just the red dots going across the map.
It makes you feel like you're actually traveling. It gives you that feeling, and that is something that as I said, I wish I could incorporate more.
And also, it's not a hex grind.
Yeah.
It isn't go into a hex, describe the hex, survive the hex, move on to the next hex. What you do is you roll to embark on your journey,
Yeah.
and that determines how many hexes you go before you have an encounter.
Yeah.
You don't have to play every hex as a new thing, and you just get to the important parts. Now, in Tor,
Yeah.
an encounter literally can be solved with a single roll.
Mm-hmm.
In Adventures in Middle Earth, you could get a little more complex.
Yeah.
Because you you might have up to 3 rolls.
Mm-hmm.
But you can literally have an encounter, solve it in one roll, and your degrees of success will tell you exactly what happened. Everything from, oh, you met Tom Bombadil and he gave you a present, to you made Tom Bombadil mad and you are now a wolf.
You met Tom Bombadil. When did we include sanity checks in D&D?
Well, in the Oops All Hobbits,
Yeah.
meeting Tom Bombadil is, oh, spoilers, I should shut up now.
Yeah.
Spoilers,
But mind you,
darling.
I love Tom. Tom is wonderful. I understand why he wasn't in the movies, because the amount of people are like, what? I could just imagine the entire audience just like tilting their head to the side and whenever Tom showed up, because Tom is a force of nature,
Literally.
in more than one sense.
All right. Well, this is thing. Look forward to when we start our Wednesday games. We will be play testing a lot of games, and we are really far back on what we're doing. One of our highest priorities is we've got to get Avatar: The Last Airbender playing, and he gets the option of trying to figure out how to run it straight from the box, and then I will show him how it's actually done when he goes. Because
you underestimate me.
If you could play it straight from the box, 99% of all role-playing games, 99.9% of all role-playing games fail the here's your starter box, start playing concept.
Yeah.
1983 was the last one we found.
That actually passed.
Yeah. Call of Cthulhu is the closest one to
in modern history.
Yeah. Since 1983.
Since Back Me, yeah.
Yeah. So we will talk more about that during the actual play testing and things like that. But we will try to. We'll also play test other games and stuff.
Mm-hmm.
We have somebody who's written his own stuff and he wants to come on our show to do a play test.
Yeah.
So we will gladly do that. You got a product you want us to play test? Go ahead, send it to us. Go to rpgresearch.com and you find out where you can donate those things to. 101 North Stone is our address, but you'll find all that stuff there.
Yeah.
So let's talk about the show again.
Oh yes,
because we only have a few seconds here, a few minutes. And
we're not done with the unboxing, because there's what was in this bag.
Well, in that bag is a second bag. Where did I get these bags?
Yes.
As I told you before, I accidentally got a VIP pass.
Mm-hmm.
2 of them for the price of less than 1 VIP pass. So go ahead and pull the bags apart so they can see what the artwork is for both of them.
Oh yeah. So there's Pokemon, or Pokemons.
Pokemon?
Yeah. And it's kind of an obscure cartoon.
Most people haven't heard of this.
Dragon Ball Z? Yes. Yeah. two very obscure cartoons. Or anime, as some people call it.
An anime is just a cartoon from Japan.
Let's see what we have in here. We mentioned the
lanyard.
The lanyard.
Can we do the close-up? Now, the front character there, that's Sprocket. He is a superhero cat. He is the official mascot for the last 10 years of Lilac City Comic Con. So Lilac City Comic Con's 10th year anniversary was today, or this weekend.
Yeah.
And there's some other Sprocket things. I did not buy a Sprocket comic book, but they did have them there for sale, or the stickers, and there was a coin and all kinds of neat stuff. But let's go ahead and move on to the next item you can pull out of there.
Okay. And this lanyard has various anime characters. Oh no, we can stand the close up.
Now this was a purchase. This was not something I got for being a VIP. I purchased these. I purchased one of them from my children, and I purchased this one for myself. I do plan on wearing it at Pride.
We have, looks like, some comic books.
Now, most of these comic books are part of the VIP bag, or for anybody who wanted them, and these are the free comic book days.
Yeah.
We got Superman.
Well, this is Spider-Man.
Spider-Man, I'm sorry.
Spider-Man from Ultimate Universe.
Okay. I'll
Because
let
they're
you read
restarting
them
that.
off instead of me trying to, because I can't see them actually from here.
Initial D.
And unlike most manga, that one's read front to back.
Yeah. Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles. Who is a Night Watcher? I won't ruin it for you.
Thank you. Thank you. Also, big news about that is they're going to make a live-action version, rated R, for The Last Ronin.
I have conflicted feelings about that.
I want it
Star
to be
Wars.
good, so therefore it will be good. And of course, Star Wars, another little-known property.
Yes. We also have Dragon Ring.
I believe he's a local artist. I'm not 100% sure, but it is an independent. And this was based on an independent comic from the 80s. This character here is the daughter of the original character. This is number 1. I have it autographed inside by the artist. And
on the outside.
Oh, no. So it's just on the outside then. And this is the one of my purchases that I actually made. Okay.
When you can support independent creators.
I told him that I'm at a comic book convention. I have to buy at least one comic book, and guess what? You're it.
Mm-hmm. Let's see here. We have miscellaneous.
Okay,
We have a pin.
These pins were part of the VIP package. There's 2 of them, one for both of the VIP bags. And they had a board up where you can switch them out. I did not switch them out. I just took the ones that they gave me.
Yeah. We've got some type of
it's a cupcake
and a crown.
Yeah, I call it the strawberry shortcake cupcake.
Yeah.
Or strawberry short cupcake.
Let's see. We have,
and apparently that crown has nothing to do with Kingdom Hearts.
It feels very Avatar: The Last Airbender, like Azula's crown.
Yeah. Now most of those things you have in your hand, you don't have to actually show off. Those are business cards.
Those are tickets.
And some people make those. Those are from Uncle's Games, which is another place I run games for.
Yeah.
And those are coupons.
Yep. Advertisement for Lilac City Roller Derby.
Yep. And I took pictures of some of the team members. Because I didn't get permission to post any of the pictures, I'm not doing that. But I have taken more photographs at that convention than anywhere else I have ever been.
Master, business card. We've got some cards.
Okay, now those cards, other than the business card, you want to show off the other cards.
Okay.
So there were 4, and it was supposed to be a treasure hunt, but I got lucky and found them all in one place. At different booths, you're supposed to go around and try to find these cards, and they are they're like game cards, but there's no actual game mechanics or anything. They're just souvenir cards for the mascots of the convention. 2 Sprocket cards and a cat person fanboy and fangirl.
Yes. That looks like a business card.
Okay.
And
if it's in a sleeve, it's not a business card.
And then there's.
This is a promo card from the gentleman who is from Spokane. They made a card game / role-playing game. The card game follows different rules, but the cards can actually be used in the role-playing game.
Cool.
And they're hopefully going to become a guest.
Is there anything else in here that you wanted me to highlight?
No, everything else is business cards from people that were running booths. You can find all that information at the Lilac City Comic Con site.
Okay.
So we've got just a few minutes left to go. This is the time that we talk about our sponsors. Closest thing we have to an official sponsor is Wizards of the Coast, and that is through their program for the literacy resources. And we obviously need more sponsors, want more sponsors. We deserve them. But
we do appreciate them, though.
Yeah, we definitely do appreciate them. So write to us at rpgresearch.com, subject line RPG Talk Show. Donate at rpgresearch.com/donate. And also, you can volunteer. We will teach you our wonderful ways in our training, and you will also find fulfillment. But we are a 501c3 nonprofit, 100% volunteer-led organization. We do not have anybody that's working for us that is paid. The president, myself, no one gets paid at RPG Research, but that could change if we get enough donations to pay all of our bills and leave leftovers for things like employees. But we do a lot with the very little money that we do have.
Our community comes first before it's the aspect of volunteering. What time we have, that we're able to give, we do.
And of course, we don't actually ask a lot of our volunteers, other than maybe a 1-year commitment and 4 hours a week. But if the more you can do, the better we can do. And the more you can donate, the better we can give back to the community.
Yeah.
It costs us money to run programs, especially off-site programs. And it definitely costs money to get all of our on-site programs because we have to pay for the rent and the electricity and this broadcasting and things like that. It's nothing in the world is free but thoughts and prayers. All right. Any last word from you?
Nothing else that I can really think of. I appreciate you guys being here with us. We try to be as professional as possible, but there's only so much we can do.
If you want to talk to me personally, especially if you want to be talking about a sponsorship, you can always email me at John, John, at rpgresearch.com. And please put in the talk show so I know where you're coming from in the subject line.
Yeah.
That way I can tell the difference between you and somebody who is just trying to sell me a timeshare in Bogota. All right.
You don't want the timeshares in Bogota.
I don't want a timeshare anywhere. I'm sharing enough time with my wife. I don't want to share anymore.
True. Well, I'm not going to tell her that.
I'm not want to share anymore with anybody else or for anybody. RPG Research has enough of my time, and my wife is extremely generous to allow me to do this.
Yes.
All right. Looks like we're getting close to that last second. Again, you have questions, concerns, things that you want us to talk about on RPG Research, let us know through the emails. Let us know through the chat.
Yeah.
We are on almost every social media out there, including some that you probably wouldn't think of. But we are there on Twitch. I mean X.
Twitter.
No, we're on Twitch. Yeah, we're on Twitch right now.
We're on Twitch right now.
If you can't tell that we're on Twitch, you're watching the wrong show. But we're also on YouTube.
Yes.
We take the stuff that we broadcast first on Twitch and move it over to YouTube for people after our Patreon viewers have had a chance to take a look at it.
So
Eventually,
we're on Twitch, we're on YouTube, we're on Patreon, we are on Twitter or X.
Yep. Facebook.
Yeah.
What is that one with the cameras? The photographs. You post
Instagram?
Instagram. We're on Instagram. We're on LinkedIn. We're on a lot of different things. Anything that you go to, just go to their site. For example, youtube.com/RPG research. Just add the /RPG research to the name, and you shall be able to find us and send us messages there. We're also on multiple sites on Facebook. I have a page myself called Spokane Area Gaming Alliance that you can meet for me, especially if you're in the local area.
You know if we're on Blue Sky yet?
I don't know if we're on Blue Sky or Mastodon, but I can check the list. If we're not, send us a message on the other things and we'll try to get an account there.
Yeah.
But also, on the other hand, we need the volunteers to help run these things because we do not currently have a social media person running all of these sites. It's us trying to get things. I'm in charge of not only these shows, but programming as well as, event management and things like that. And I don't spend enough time on the internet advertising our wares.
And I try to help as best as I can between this and 3 jobs that I work.
Yes, you would think he was. No, I'm not going to say that, but it's true. But I was about to say it was true. Anyways, I'll explain to you offline.
Oh no! Oh no!
But more importantly, one of the things I do want to mention about our volunteers, we do appreciate all of them, including the little dragon that's waving you at you right now,
Hearth
Holmes. He is our technical supervisor. He is the guy behind the scenes running the camera work, the lights,
putting out fires,
all the digital stuff that you see, the little slideshow you see. That's all because of Hearth Holmes. He is a little bit shy and won't take the credit, so we're going to give it to him.
Yeah, we also earlier today, because we had a volunteer, Shane.
Yes, he was a great help for us. He's our newest volunteer.
Yes,
because we asked too much of Hearth Holmes, and he needs a little bit of help. All of our volunteers that we have that run games in the community, we really do appreciate them.
Yeah,
and we provide them college level. I'm not supposed to tell you that it's that extensive, but we do give you a really good education and training on being not just a Dungeons and Dragons role player or dungeon master, but game masters for multiple games.
Yeah,
and how to become a professional game master if that's a goal that you have coming up. We also will help you with educational things.
Yeah.
Such as if you need to be an intern, we can help you with that. We do provide for internships, and pretty soon we will be able to provide for recreational therapist interns as we finally get one of us as a CTRS.
Yes, we're currently working on one right now.
We're working on 3.
3. I'm only aware of 1 right now that recently escaped from Florida.
Well, the Kip is the one who escaped from Florida, I believe.
Yeah. Well, one of the people who escaped from Florida.
Yeah, he escaped from Florida as well.
As did Rain. Hearth Holmes. And a couple of others.
Yeah. One of our other volunteers, she came to visit before. Elizabeth.
Yeah.
She is also a CTRS. They both were out here to do their internships with another company.
Yeah.
But they're going to, when they get their CTRS, or if I get mine first, then we will be able to take those kind of internships. Last word we say is goodbye.
And good night. Thank you for
being with us. Dream well, everyone.
Yes.